What does it look like to be following your calling? What does it look like when you're living your dreams? Because when you look around at what's on social media, what's on the internet, you see people who've achieved their dreams and they're out at the clubs and they're out partying and they're on these exotic locations and they're throwing these big parties and they're surrounded by all these great people and they're doing these things that look so amazing. But what you don't see is you don't see the hours that they put in. They're not filming themselves when they're sitting in their room crying, wondering if it's ever going to happen. You don't see the part where they're at their desk staring at the computer trying to come up with that screenplay or that business idea or that new invention or the coding that's going to make some app work. You don't see the 16-hour days. You don't see them turning down the parties. You don't see them not going out with their friends. Sometimes the success journey is it's a lonely road, it's a long road, it's a tiring road, and you don't see that part because nobody is necessarily posting that part, because that would be boring. Like, who would watch that? If I put a video up every day of me sitting at my computer, it's probably why I don't put up a lot of videos. It's not a daily thing, because I haven't arrived yet, right? I'm not in that place where I'm daily, like, out there speaking, giving advice, making the videos, doing the things out there that are in my heart, because I'm at the desk. I'm sitting in my office alone. I'm grinding, I'm thinking, I'm meditating, I'm praying, I'm crying. I'm wondering when it's going to happen for me. And that's the lonely road I want to talk to you about, because when you're in that space and you're creating the future that you want to have, it takes a while to come to be. It takes a while to come to fruition, and it can be super lonely. And that's why I highly recommend you having some success besties, some friends that you get together with on a weekly or monthly basis, that you mastermind with, that you brainstorm with, that you get together and you share your ideas. Because I know what it's like to work in a vacuum. I know what it is to be like writing and writing and writing, and then no one ever sees. Like, you wonder, is anyone ever, like, who am I doing this for? Who's gonna see this? And so you got to get it out there. You got to share. And for some of you, that is making a video, putting the stuff out on social and getting feedback. That's an important part of it too. But there's some of us where what we're creating is, maybe it's a product, maybe it's something we're gonna end up selling, maybe it's, still getting some, even if you can't like just give it away free to the world, which, you have to make a living at this too, but maybe finding a select group of people who love you and follow you and love your content, sending it out to them just to get their feedback, sending it out to the ideal people, because sometimes your family and friends, they'll just tell you, it's good, it's great, what you're doing it's wonderful, just keep at it. Or maybe they're the opposite. Maybe they're like, you know what, this isn't very good. Maybe you just need to get a job. Let's be realistic. That's not a real career path. So honestly, it could go either way. But if it's in your heart to do the thing you're doing, don't give up when it gets hard. I know the distractions are there, the things to take your focus. Like, I'm supposed to be writing some poems right now for my next book, and I'm on social and I'm scrolling through things when I should be writing, because it can be such a lonely thing where you're like, let me just check in, let me just check something. But if you can get to that place where you maybe you make that your reward. If you're the type of person that needs like a dopamine hit and you're like, I need that feedback that social media provides. That's why a lot of people do dopamine fasts, where they'll go off, they won't be on social for 30 days or something, because you get so used to, when things get hard or you get bored, to let me just go on here and let me check. That's going to kill your success. That's going to stop your success. And it also, one of the things it does is it starts to maybe make you feel bad about yourself, because like I said, people are not posting the grind, they are posting the sunshine. And we will all get to the sunshine if we don't quit and we don't give up. But the grind in the cave, when it's dark, when no one knows what you're doing or understands what you're doing, that's part of it. That's part of it to get you where you're going. So, you know, if you don't do the grind, you can't get the sunshine. And I don't mean by any means that you don't take care of yourself. You don't find for rest. Because I know I did a video about how they took the rise and shine and turned it into rise and grind. But it doesn't mean you don't have rest and you don't take care of yourself. You have to find that balance, because if you're operating on 4, 5, 6 hours of sleep a night, and you have to have caffeine to keep you going, and you're kind of brain dead and you don't have that time for your body to heal and process, and you don't feel like doing it, you're pushing yourself, you're not going to create the best work anyway. So you may think you're working 16 hours a day, but in truth, you might be only getting in a good 4 to 6 hours, maybe 8, but the rest of the time you're fatigued, you're overthinking it, you're staring at the document, you're trying to come up with ideas. You may be sitting at your desk for 16 hours. I've been guilty of that, trying to force something to happen. But you also have to know when your brain hits a certain point, it's going to tap out. So you're not being efficient. Even if you think, oh, I've been working 18 hours straight, you really haven't. Because it's not how our body works and functions. So when you hit a wall, when you hit that point where you're like, I can't, I need some chocolate, I need a donut, I need some caffeine, get up and go for a walk. Clear your mind. Don't take work with you. Sometimes, you know, listening to an audiobook may be okay, but there are times when you hit a wall where what you really need is to commune with your Creator. You need to go on a prayer walk. But there's times where you need silence, where you need to just be like looking at the nature. And I'm telling you, those are the times when you're not constantly, because I'm guilty of this, any workaholics in the room, raise your hand. Guilty, number one. Thinking that if you put in more hours, it's going to lead to success sooner. And it's not about working harder. It's not about that saying, working harder or working smarter. One of my coaches says, this guy, James Melanchek, he says, it's not about working smarter. It's not about working harder. It's about working right. Are you doing the right things? And here's the thing. If you are grinding 16 hours a day and you're working so hard and you're doing so much input, but you're not taking the time to hone in, to center, to focus, to meditate, to pray and ask God, what should I be doing today? Then you may be hustling and grinding on the wrong things. There's a saying that says, I don't remember how the exact saying goes, but it says something like how it uses this picture of someone climbing the corporate ladder. And it says, the worst day of your life is when you see you spent your entire life climbing the ladder only to find out it was against the wrong building. So you may have had a dream that you started in your heart years ago, but it's maybe not even your dream anymore, or you don't have that affinity towards it anymore, but you're like afraid to give up, afraid to quit, afraid of what people will think about you. But guess what? It's okay to shift. It's okay to move into a new lane. If the lane you're in doesn't excite you anymore, I have a video on my YouTube channel about this, about when is it okay to quit. It's okay to quit when you're not excited about that thing anymore. So as an actor, and I've been an actor for over 20 years, the hustle and grind part of the acting doesn't excite me anymore. My first 18, 20 years, when I got the notice, I got an audition, I would be through the roof, so excited. And I'd be like, oh, I got an audition, because like the possibility of booking a job and da-da-da-da. But for the last couple of years, maybe the last few, to be honest, now I get an audition notice and I'm like, dang it, oh. And they're like, what? I'm like, oh, I have an audition. And they're like, aren't you excited? I'm like, no, I could have been writing. I could have been working on my speech. So I sense that urge in me shifting to do something more in service of humanity, to get messages out that I want to put out there. And I know acting can be great and acting can change lives if you're in projects that are actually aligned with your vision and purpose and the messages you want to put out. But I had been doing a lot of thankless stuff, like for you just trying to get any kind of role to get like on the map, to get on the radar. Doing roles I wasn't proud of, doing roles I wouldn't even show my kids, definitely not my parents, like I wouldn't let anybody see. So it's like, why am I doing that? Just to make a name for myself in something that I would not even maybe tell people I'm in. Not that I was doing all kinds of stuff, but that was like totally wrong or anything, but I wanted to make a difference in a different way. So I'm saying that to you because maybe it's time for you to switch lanes. Maybe it's time for you to realign. Maybe it's time for you to slow down. I know I went all over the place in this video, but maybe it's time for you to slow down. Maybe it's time for you to meditate. I have this little book. It says you are worthy. I write in here. I write like how I want my life to be in the positive tense, as if I'm actually there and doing it. You got to be able to visualize what you want for your future, to be able to think it and live it and act as if that's where you're at. And that's one of the changes I made when I realized I wanted to have a bigger impact. I had to act as if I was already there. I had to start doing things as if I had already arrived. So instead of taking every single job that came to me just so I could be acting in something, I had to think, if I were at the level I wanted to be, if I had reached that height in fame, in notoriety, in the money I wanted to make, would I say yes to this thing? If the answer is no, then why are you saying yes to it now? You know, there's this whole thing in Hollywood about you got to pay your dues. You got to like basically do a bunch of stuff you don't like until you can get to the point someday to do the stuff you want. There's this whole other thing in acting called typecasting. And when they typecast you, basically that means you just play this certain type of character until you're famous enough to play whatever character you want. That's called typecasting. And for instance, Charlize Theron, when she did the movie Monster, that's her breaking out of the typecasting as the sexy girl, the pretty girl, the vixen, whatever. She's a model. She like wanted to show her acting range. She wanted to show her, she wanted to be like, you know, I can play other roles than the beautiful woman. So what is that for you? What is it? Is there some stereotype that you want to break out of? Is there, you see musicians do this sometimes. They play a certain type of music and they're like, they put it, like, I want to do something different with my album. I want to show a different range. I want to show I can do something different. You know, maybe you're in the car industry and you want to like, you have a passion for like smoothies. Maybe you design, maybe you are a manufacturer and your smoothie passion, you make a special kind of cup that fits in the car cup holders. Cause I know I have big massive cups and they don't fit, my smoothies don't fit in there, you know. Whatever it is for you, how can you combine your passion with, you know, the skills that you have, what you're good at? Because if you're in a place right now and you're kind of over what you've been doing, like, I know people see you as this certain thing and it can be scary to want to shift into a new thing. Like if you've been doing something for 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, 50, 40 years, and then you go, you know what? I want to make a shift. Sometimes it's scary to start over and try something new, to have your head down. If you're used to having like a lot of output in one area and now you're switching, you got to keep your head down. And you got to learn this new thing. That's the phase that I'm at. I was so used to like putting out. And now I'm like, well, I'm learning. I'm learning how to do a course. I'm learning how to do a self-help book. I'm learning how to market. I'm watching webinars on how to do this. I'm taking seminars. I'm taking courses. That's the time where your head is down. That's what I started talking about in the beginning of this video. That's your time that you're learning, absorbing. And just because you hit a certain level in your life, a certain age or a certain this or that, doesn't mean you stop learning. If you stop learning, you stop growing. So to hit that next level, it's going to be, it can be a lonely time. Even my friends who I get together with on a monthly basis, and we're into the same things. Sometimes our schedules are all over the place. I have all these courses and I'm like, you want to watch these courses with me? But if I waited till we were all on the same page, it might take the next 100 years before we got through these courses. So we're all collectively learning different things, and then when we come together, we all have these, we can speak into each other's lives. You took a course on how to make a course, you share that with me. I took a course on how to make a best-selling book, I share that with you. You should, and you trade knowledge and you trade wisdom. But honestly, that's only going to be 2% of your time. The rest of your time is you alone in your office or in your bedroom, trying to make that thing, trying to use your creative gifts and powers. And when you get stuck and when you hit a plateau and something you're working on isn't working, that's the time to stop and ask yourself, what do I need to learn here? One of the YouTubers that I love, Myron Golden, says, it's always working. Even if what you're working on isn't working, it's working on you. So it can be disappointing when something doesn't turn out, you don't get the sales, you don't get this or that, but it's working, or it's working on you. So if it's working on you, you have to go, okay, why didn't this sell? Is it the product? Is it how I'm marketing it? Is it that I don't know how to explain the benefits enough that would cause people to open their pockets and buy? There's always something that can be tweaked, and that's also the power of a mastermind, getting together with people and sampling from your ideal audience. Who is it in your audience that you need to send it to get feedback on, so you can hear how real life people, and I don't mean just send it to anyone, someone who would ideally be the type of person that you'd want to see as your customer buy the thing. You have to have somebody in mind when you're making a product that you are gearing it towards, because these people that are like, oh, my product's for everybody, no, it's not. Because if it's for everybody, then it's for nobody, then there's no specialty. So if you say, I'm a chiropractor and I'm anyone who has a spine is my customer, that sounds good and all, but when you're like that, there may be 200 chiropractors within a 50-mile radius of you. What's going to make you stand out and be different? Are you a chiropractor specialized in people after they've had car accidents? So people hear, oh, that's the chiropractor for the car accident, or are you a chiropractor that specializes in pregnancy? See, these are all questions that you will never think to ask if you don't stop and rest and get quiet and stop with the hustle culture. Stop with the working 16 hours a day. If you have no time to reflect, then you can't see where you're going wrong. And working 16 hours a day is like driving your car 80 miles an hour down the road, but you haven't looked at a map first to see if you're even on the right road. You're going fast, but you don't know if you're going in the right direction. So, what can we take away from this video? The creation part can be lonely. Creation part can be lonely. You may not know if you're working on the right thing if you don't stop to take the time to pray and to meditate. And are you making it for the right people? Do you need to specialize your message? Do you need to find a way to articulate what you're doing and working on to the right people, so what you spend this time on in the dark hours with your head down, when you're ready to get out into the sunshine, are there people that are going to buy it because you even know who you're selling it to? So those are a lot of things to consider, but when you consider those things, when you stop grinding for 16 hours a day and work into that time to pray and meditate and hear those downloads from God, then you're going to find the right things to do, the right way to do it, Because if you're working nonstop and just listening to people saying, this is how it should be done, this is how you should do it, this is how you get the sales, this is how you do whatever. If that's not the divine wisdom and plan God has for your life, and he's got a different route for you, but you're just trying to do it what works for Tom, Dick, and Harry, that may not be your route. They may not be the plan God has for you of how he's going to get you in the right direction. And if I had just listened earlier, I would be in a different place right now. And I remember taking a workshop, going to a mastermind, a 3-day mastermind, or maybe it was several weeks, called Jumpstart. And we all had to go up to the microphone and say what our dream was. And I had been acting over 10 years at this point, maybe 12, maybe, I don't know. And I got up to the microphone and I said, my dream is to become a famous actor so people will want to read the books I'm writing. And in my mind, because of what I had seen and trying to get a publisher, and they're like, you're not famous. If you were famous, we would publish your book. In my mind, I correlated that with, I have to get famous first, then people will want to read my books. And in hindsight, I'm looking back at that and I was like, man, if I would have just spent all that time doing the writing I wanted to do instead of trying to become a well-known actor, I may already have a big following of people wanting to read my books. And it was when the teacher asked that question, wait, you want to become a famous actor so people will want to read your books? Why don't you just do the books? And I couldn't compute it. It didn't make sense. I was like, well, but if I'm a nobody and nobody knows who I am, then who's going to read them? So these are the things you don't get unless you're getting quiet with yourself, unless you're praying and meditating and asking God, like, why am I stuck? What's it going to take for me to get over this hump? I don't want to be working 1,000,000 hours a day on stuff that doesn't work. I want to be working 6 hours, 4 hours, I don't know. Because I want to have time to enjoy life too. I want to have time to spend with my family. I want to have time to be around those I love. Nobody ever says on their deathbed, I wish I would have worked more. So live true to yourself. Love hard, even when it's difficult, even when the people you have to love are not awesome. And shine bright. We don't know when that time is coming where we will be noticed in our field, in what we want to do, or if we'll be noticed, but we can shine right where we're at. Even if we never make it to the highest heights, your life has a purpose. And you never know the person you are touching. You never know if you were meant to be a conduit for someone else, to be that person that touches someone else. Like, who's the person that inspired the greats? There's great people out there who made a huge difference, but if they didn't have people rooting for them and speaking into their life, they wouldn't have gotten where they are now. And you know, you think of people like big evangelists like Billy Graham, who helped millions of people come to know the Lord, but who's the person that got Billy Graham saved? You know what I mean? So we don't know, are we supposed to be the thing, or are we supposed to be the one that's learning from our mistakes, encouraging others, coaching them to go follow their passions, because that just may be the thing that changes hundreds of people that you don't even know about. I remember early on when I got this message of worthiness, when I started, you know, I was writing the book, You Are Worthy. I had just finished the course, You Are Worthy. And I was thinking to myself, you know, the devil's talking to me and I'm listening and he's saying, oh, well, you know, other people are out there making a big difference in the world. They're feeding the homeless. They're giving the homeless shelter. They're schooling. They're helping the foster kids. They're rescuing children out of trafficking. They're doing the big things. And you're just here to teach people about their worth? That's like so nothing, so superficial. And I started to feel bad, like maybe my message isn't big enough. Maybe I need to like get out there and go to some third world country and help them dig water wells and help them build schools and da 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 da. And then God stopped me and he said, you know what? There's so many believers out there. There's so many Christians out there who don't think they're worthy to go after their dreams, who think that there's others more qualified, more capable, more whatever it is. And they don't know their worth. They don't know their value in me. They don't know that I approve of them right now where they're at, and I want them to get into action. And he showed me, if I could stick true to my calling of showing you are worthy, then the people that reaches, those believers who have those dreams in their heart to start that nonprofit, to start that orphanage, to rescue the children, to feed the homeless, they won't do it because they don't think they're worthy. So by me fulfilling my calling of showing other believers, Christians, people who are called by God to do something, if I don't show them that they can, that they're worthy, that God loves them, that they have everything within them to be able to fulfill their dream, they won't go after their dream. So my message that I thought, oh, this is like a nothing message, can change the world in ways I don't even know about yet. Because if I can get you to fulfill your dream, to go after your calling, to do the things God has called you to do, then when you become a star, when you reach the highest heights, when you rescue the children, when you feed the homeless, when you start the orphanage, when you go out on the mission trips, because I've planted those seeds in you that you can do it and you are enough, that whatever you achieve in life, when I get to heaven, God's going to give me a little bit of credit for being the one that spurred you to do that thing you were called to do, that spurred you into your greatness. So don't feel bad if you go, well, I want to be the star. I want to be at the top. We don't all know what our mission is in life, but we have to share whatever God tells us to share. We have to do whatever God tells us to do, whether that means we're going to be out there at the top, or we're going to be the one that spurs the people that goes to the top. Either way, it's all part of God's marvelous plan, as he tells us in his scripture. Some will plant the seeds, some will water the seeds, but only God can bring the harvest. I don't know if you're a planter or a waterer or you're helping with the harvest, but whatever it is, don't judge your journey. Don't stop early. Keep your head down. Do the grind. Do the thing you know you're supposed to do. But do it in a spirit of excellence where you're taking care of yourself, you're doing the self-stewardship, and you're not burning yourself out, going crazy, not 100% sure that you're even on the right track. So catch up with God. Make it a priority to make that time with God, your quiet time, more important than the grind. And that, my friend, will be a much quicker route to get you to the sunshine. God bless.